Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Elliot, and today I'm looking at the glorious Model O. Now chances are you've probably heard of this mouse, and it's a great $50 gaming mouse. It's really light, but it's been out for about 2 years, so I'm looking at it in 2021 to see whether or not you guys should buy it. Let's get started. Since it has this honeycomb shell, it is a pretty light gaming mouse, and that's one of the things it's known for. I think it's one of the lightest mice that has RGB, if not the lightest. Now there are like some lighter mice out there, but this one also has RGB, and overall it's pretty light. I've used the G502 and this is so much lighter than that. This mouse is ambidextrous and it has these comfort grooves on both sides. I like these comfort grooves and they fit my hands pretty well. This mouse is relatively flat, especially in the back. If you're thinking about getting this mouse, if you can, go to a store and try it out and see how it feels in your hand. It fits in my hand pretty well, but some people it's not going to fit very well. If you're buying a mouse in general, you should probably go test it out in person if you can. I know that's not really possible if you're buying it off Amazon or something like that. This mouse shape is pretty comfortable and I think it will fit most people's hands. In the front, there are these little grooves for you to put your fingers in, and I like that. They're not super noticeable, but they kind of keep your hand just locked in place. This mouse has RGB and there's a software to change it. Right now I have it set to blue because that's how I like it and it matches my keyboard and computer, but there's all sorts of RGB modes and stuff, or you can set it to one color like this. This is a wireless version and the cable on this is pretty light and flexible. It's a lot more flexible than some cables. It's not the most flexible though. And if you want a wireless version, I think that's $70 or $80. I think that's basically the same thing except there's no wire. It's like 2 grams heavier or something like that. On this side, the mouse has 2 side buttons and it has their little logo. There's honeycomb here, here, and on the bottom. There's no honeycomb on the sides. Now, I don't really notice the honeycomb at all, and actually it probably helps my grip while using the mouse. But if you don't like honeycomb, this may not be the mouse for you. On the bottom here, we have these mouse feet. And I think some people say these are bad, some people say they're good. I don't really know. I think they're fine. Here I have this mouse pad, and keep in mind this is not the best mouse pad ever, but it glides pretty well. This is not the most fast mouse pad or anything, but it seems to glide pretty well. The sensor on this seems to be fine. I'm not the most competitive gamer, but I play like Apex Legends and I use AimLab and stuff, and it doesn't seem to be any different from other mice I've used. It definitely isn't bad or anything. This mouse can also double click, so if you play Minecraft, you've probably heard of this mouse, and it is good for butterfly clicking and drag clicking because you can double click. The switches on this mouse are 20 million or 10 million omrons, I don't really remember, and they're kind of clicky and not the lightest switches ever. Here's a quick sound test. That's on the table, and in the air it sounds a little bit different, but they're not the worst sounding and they're not the best. I've been using this mouse for 1 to 2 months. This is actually my brother's mouse, but he got a new mouse, and so he's letting me use it. My brother has used this mouse and then I've used this mouse, so I think the texture is kind of worn off. Overall, it's fine. It's not the most grippy, and I think it's fine for most people, but I think it seems to kind of worn off, and the texture on this mouse doesn't really last. So I know one of the problems people have with this mouse is quality control and like not very good build quality. In my opinion, the build quality is fine. Keep in mind it has a honeycomb shell, so the build quality is not going to be like super durable, but it seems fine. Now I will say the materials are not as good as something like the G502. I really like the materials, feel just kind of like cheap plastic, so I will say that, but overall it seems pretty durable. So unless you're like throwing your mouse or like actually smashing it, this model seems to be fine. Now some people's may not be. If you look on the right mouse button, there's a scratch there. My brother says it came like this, but he could have done that too. I can't confirm that it came like this, but if it did, that's kind of annoying. It doesn't really affect anything. I guess that proves if this mouse came with a scratch on it, the quality control is not great with this mouse. The scroll wheel on this mouse is fine. It's not anything interesting. It's not very loud and it clicks in like that. It's not anything super interesting. Side buttons, they seem fine. They're kind of small, I guess I would say, but I haven't had any problems with them. Overall, I would recommend this mouse for $50. It is a good mouse. Especially if you already own it, I would not recommend upgrading unless you really want a different mouse. I would say there's other mice that can probably compete with this, considering it's been out for 2 years. But overall, I feel like it's a pretty solid mouse, and there are some better ones probably. If you're only going to be playing Minecraft and you only need to like double click and stuff, I think there are better options out there. But if you're just playing a bunch of different games, this is really good for first-person shooters and games like that. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. So see you in the next video. Bye.